All right. Before we start, who wants to play Elden Ring, the board game? Here it is, Elden Ring. This is it. This is all you need to play Elden Ring. Look at that. You go through a series of bosses. You have to roll dice to win. Isn't this great? Elden Ring, the board game. You don't even. The best part is you don't need nuclear fission, nuclear fusion, batteries, lithium ion, nothing. You don't need a nuclear power plant, nothing. You could right in here is all the power. It has all the power. All right, let's move on. In light of this morning's recent events as of June 25th, 2024, look how far in the future we are. We're going to do a new segment. It's only going to be one time segment, I think. Ranking and grading the superhero movie costumes of the DC Universe. So it's going to be DC Universe, DC superheroes. We're limiting it to the movies. Also, all superhero movies from the year 1978 to 2025. That's the limit. That's what we're doing here. That's how I'm ranking it. And then I'll have a bronze, silver, and gold medal final choices here. These are my choices. They may not be your choices, but let's move forward here. And here we have Christopher Reeve's costume. Bum, ba-da. So let's take a look at this. Now the reason why it is bluish green, this light turquoise. Is it turquoise? When I'm thinking of Aztecs, when they made, when you get costume jewelry, the turquoise is the right color, the right description here, the right name. It is turquoise for the purposes that it would not blend in with the blue screen. At the time, they were using blue screen, not green screen. Green screen would come in later, probably during the 90s. The blue screen, though, was a new technology back then. So, you go back to the George Reeves stuff, and I think George Reeves' Superman suit was actually in black and white. This is full color. This is all full color. And I think the first time there was a Superman costume that wasn't, well, George Reeves was it, I think. But also there was a play called Look Up in the Sky. It was a cringy play. It was not great. And while I say that this was the revolutionary movie, this was a very good costume. It served its purpose. It did what it was supposed to do, but it has aged over time. So let me grade this one. I will give it a C. Needs significant improvement, but the colors are good. In some ways, it still holds up, but it it was greatly eclipsed by Batman costume from '89. But yeah, I like this one. It's cool. And then here's this one. Yeah, this one. So this is the evil Superman costume. Remember when he went drunk? And it's a different color palette. It kind of like foreshadows Brandon Routh's costume a little bit in the way it's presented here. Um, I'm not sure if they got better with the back screen or whatever they did, but this is kind of the color that they wanted to do, I think, with Christopher Reeve's costume from the first movie. And then it got used as evil Superman's costume when he's all drunk. That's super bad. You know, when I first saw that scene, it reminded me of a music video. Like, remember those nonsensical music videos that just were just crazy and bizarre from the 80s? I mean, yeah, Michael Jackson's Thriller was the first one. And then you had other ones like just somebody they were just trying to tell a story, but they were just so bonkers, right? And when I saw Clark Kent destroy Superman, it reminded me of two things. It reminded me of the '70s comic books with Superman, where you had these campy television plots that were just so bonkers, that were just so ridiculous. Where Superman's getting his ass handed to him, and he's just weak in front of society. And anybody who's like in their 50s or 60s might know what I'm talking about. If you ever saw a Superman comic book in the 1970s, he always looked weak and just docile compared to like when he was in the 30s or 40s. Like he couldn't handle society anymore. And that's what it kind of reminded me of. And also just the metaphors that music videos, like what is the metaphor? You just need music to this. And that's somehow it was just weird. So that's what I took as a kid. So anyway, we're gonna rank this costume. I'm gonna give it a C plus. I'll give it a higher C than the first costume. I thought the colors were much better. though the gold is muted. It's a little bit darker. The later on the Brandon Routh, they would have that kind of color scheme going on. But that's that one. So let's move on to 80. No, let's move on to the other superhero costume, the other super costume. Ah, yes. So this one is very much. This one's pretty like accurate. I mean, I will say up to this point, the costumes are all pretty comic book accurate. Superman and Supergirls. It's lovely, the lovely skirt. It's the classic one. Obviously, later on, what Melissa Benoist would have more like thick stockings, and there would be another movie version in 2023. So for this one, I'm going to give this one. I like the classic look. C plus. I like it as much as the dark Superman costume. It does need improvement, right? Because I have to watch this movie. I really do have to watch this movie from beginning to end. I know, like, you have Jimmy Olsen in it, but not Superman. So I got to watch this movie from beginning to end. I'm sure I would like this more than Wonder Woman 1984. I'll tell you that. Now on to 89. I don't get it. Who's this Batman? Is that Keiko Meaton? Yeah, it's Keiko Meaton. I don't know. Anyway, don't say kike. Don't say kike. That's racist. Anyway, it's Jike. It's Jike Keaton. Okay, Jike Keaton. Okay, that's better. Okay, so get everybody hating my ass. That's a costume right there. Now I'll tell you, like when I was a kid, there were actual like lifelike costumes of Joker and Batman. Now I dressed up as a cheap Batman. My mom made a costume for me. I still have it somewhere. I think I know where it is somewhere, but yeah. So for this costume, it's the original. It's not the exact one, but it is a replica of the original '89, and it was not the original spandex, and they wanted to do something different. And I like that they tried this. Now, it took a while for people to get used to it. You saw the merchandise of Batman figures that were just kind of painted black. Just paint Batman black and give him a unique belt. There's your Batman costume suit. That was the toys and the 12-inch dolls and all that, or 10-inch dolls, because I think some of the other ones were bigger and taller in size. But this was the game changer. This suit, it would reflect the other Batman costumes later on, with the exception of maybe Ben Affleck's suit and probably Robert Pattinson. But you went to this. This was point zero here. And for this one, what will I rank Michael Keaton's costume? I'll give it a B plus. I think it's very good. I like it. This movie really was my what was Star Wars for everyone else was Batman '89 for me. So I really like the costume. Don't think it's as great as some of the later ones, but it's still good. Now let's look at a slightly different version. Now this is Batman Returns costume. Let's see if we can get a real good sharp focus. Now you notice that the cowl's a little different. The chest plate's different. The bat symbol doesn't have the feet, the bat feet. So it has the proper like points on it. It's a little bit different, but it's definitely like not too sort of it's not deviated too much from the original '89 costume. What a bunch of spooky horror show that second movie was. I'll cover that more in Goth Metal Lore. But for right now, ranking this one, I will say it is a B plus again. I don't see it any better or worse than the original '89 costume. Wait till we get to the other ones. Oh, we have to wait too long. Now these are the Batman Forever costumes. There's Val Kilmer's. So this one. I mean, they were more tackier. I would say I think Tim Burton liked the Riddler costume at the very end, right? So here is the Val Kilmer one, which had the little it had sort of the ventilation, the four kind of formation on the sides, which I didn't like too much. There is the newer one where you see the bat nipples and shit. I guess. I don't know what that's all about. But here's Batman and Robin's costume. This is towards the end of the movie. What would I grade these? Because again, it's not too different from what we saw the first two movies, but it is different. You can tell it's different. Riddler had a couple of costumes here. That was his first costume. Robin's costume was simpler, I think. He had the trapeze outfit. Then he had the newer costume at the end. So, if I really had to rank this, I shall give it a B minus. I rank it below the original Batman costumes. I think they're still fun to look at. I'm not going to sit there and shit on it because the movies weren't working out there. Uh, it's just not putting nipples on a bat costume is not helpful. But I will say that the costumes that Val Kilmer and Chris O'Donnell get at the end of Forever were much more. They had a much more thought put into it than the original ones. But still, let's move on to the last of these. And here we have George Clooney's Batman costume. Uh, I know it's supposed to be better than the others, but something about it turns me off. And just George Clooney's face. I remember when it was announced that George Clooney was Batman on Entertainment Tonight, because we didn't have internet much, but internet was reduced to like QuickTime movies and articles and such. So you still had to watch TV to get some real instant feedback. But yeah, they superimposed a Batman costume over George Clooney's like headshot, and it was exactly what they thought it was going to be, you know. So here we got more George Clooney, and I'm also like ranking with the along with this. And there's the this is, it looks so cheap. This looks so cheap. I don't know why, but it looks really cheap, and that goes for the Robin costume. I like.
Really am to die for.
Oh yeah, that's Poison Ivy. Poison Ivy's costume and oh my god, they killed the Batman franchise. Look at this. Oh my god. Now, I did like the red and black Nightwing kind of costume that what is it that Chris O'Donnell had at the beginning. So that was okay. So, but it de-evolved into nothingness. So, what am I going to rank this along with Mr. Freeze's costume and Bane and Poison Ivy? What shall we give it? Let's rank it. Yeah, I should give it a. I'll give it a C minus. Okay, or yeah, I'm gonna give it a C minus. I'm gonna rank it below Superman and Supergirl's costume. It's just even though it is more complex, it was just awful. I had no love for that. I mean, you could tell that the movie. We all remember the scenes with Vicky Vale, but can you remember what was said in the dialogue between Julie Madison and Bruce Wayne? I don't think you can, because by the time there was any dialogue to be had, he had to go. As Roger Ebert said, it's the costume. It's not about the guy. So whoever wears the suit, that's the star of the show. But yeah, you're still going to get a low score from me. And now let's move on to the other heroes. Yeah, that's Steel. Okay. Yep, this is the movie that came around at the same time as Batman and Robin. Oh my god, this costume. No red cape, but Shaq did have a Man of Steel tattoo. Part of this is my fault. I think I said in high school when I saw John Bonignev's art, I said, you know, it would be great because he looks like Shaquille O'Neal. I think Shaquille O'Neal should be Steel. And everybody rolled up their eyes like, no, that's stupid. That's not going to work. And it happened, but the costume was so bad and the acting was so bad. Okay, oh Steel, Sparky, right? So it was just not a great movie. What is it the kid says to Shaq? You gotta earn to learn. I'm like, no, son, you gotta learn to earn. You know, that's the way it is. Anyway, where did Shaq get that motorcycle from anyway? So the suit, I mean, the rest of it looks fine, but the helmet was just cringe. The helmet is cringe, and there's no cape. But I don't know. I don't think he had boosters. Did he have booster rockets? I don't remember him having booster rockets. No, he didn't. He just used a motorcycle, didn't he? Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm just not feeling that at all. So if I really have to rank this one, I will have to rank this costume. Great pending, great pending. I'm going to give it A damn 50. Yeah, I don't know what it is. I think it's that helmet. I mean, it doesn't matter how cool the rest of the armor is, and the rest of the armor did look good, but that fucking helmet pisses me off. I think it's on the same level of cringe as George Clooney, Chris O'Donnell, and Alicia Silverstone's final costumes. It's just bad. Ugh. I get what they were trying to do. They're trying to be cooler as they go along, but it's just not working for me. With cartoons, you could do a lot of bullshitty things and make it work somehow because it's cartoon. But when you're doing live action, more is expected. So let's move on to, you know what? I am going to count this one. This is Nicolas Cage's Superman suit that of the now canceled Superman Lives. There was something different about this one. It wasn't the Christopher Reeve one, and it had a kind of like it was kind of like the rebuttal to the Batman suit from all the four movies. Uh, I think this looks. There was one where he looked like he was stooped over, where his head looked like it's disconnected from his body. I don't know what the hell that was, but seeing the test shots, and here's the Flash come back. Looks a little different. The S is a little wider, I think, but it has that John Byrne S look. There he is punching. He's got that. What is it? Jeremy John's closeout. Jeremy John. And there were other costumes too. There was a silver one that had light up stuff in the center. There were all kinds of things going on. There was a lot. Uh, I'm not sure that's the same exact what this. Yeah, so I mean, like, oh, yeah, this is the one. Evil hated this. Like, what is it? That's I don't know what that is. But these are the real photos of him. Looks like shit. This is like, see, this is terrible, right? Uh, I can only rank like really the suit that I mean when I saw him in the rubbery side, what is that suit made out of? Let me see now. I really want to give this a good score. So what shall I rank this? I'll give it I'm somewhere between a B minus and a solid B. I like the costume. Uh really enjoy it. It's phenomenal. I mean, I only to be outdone by Henry's costume, but it was a serious upgrade from Christopher Reeve's suit. I mean, Christopher Reeve's spandex suit has to be able to hold the weight of what happens in some of these modern day movies, and it doesn't really hold up. It held up fine for the multiverse stuff, but it was just like this one was better. Let's see what's happening here. Let's go to the year 2000 and beyond. Now, it's not exactly a superhero costume, is it? But there is John Constantine, the first one, Keanu Reeves, not Matt something or other. I forgot his name. But it's the suit, right? It's a trench coat. It's black and white. It's very. I mean, it's comics accurate. I guess they could have had him make a Christmas sweater and wear a Christmas sweater, wear a lederhosen, anything else but what he's supposed to wear. I think this is fine. I mean, it's not over the top. Some of this is fan art. Here he is again. Here he is again. So this came out what 2003, I think, right? So yeah, I mean it serves its purpose. What shall I give Keanu Reeves' superhero costume there? I'll give it a solid C. It's not. It's regular clothes, right? But it's special. So I mean, like C for Constantine. I will give it a C. I think it's fine. It's not going to be. It's not meant to stand out. It's just an everyday clothes. Oh, you know what this costume is? It's Halle Berry. Halle freaking Berry. Uh, well, it's a costume. I mean, it shows off a lot. I mean, she could get away with it. As what is it as she calls it? This piece of shit. She got a Razzie Award. She humbly accepted her Razzie Award. Good on her. I mean, most people wouldn't do that. She had to do her thing. You got to do what you're told. Just go over there and just promote the movie, please. Yeah, but this was the last movie before Christopher Nolan said everything's fine, everyone. I'm here. What is it? What is that? The Trump song? Hold on, I'm coming. The classic song right there. So yeah, I don't know. I don't see how Alamy claims these pictures here. Alamy.com. Alamy has claims on these pictures, but it's like, how long has Alamy been around anyway? Yeah, so I like that one, but this costume. It had a Game Boy Advance, GameCube, Xbox, PS2 release. What shall we rank this? What shall we rank the Catwoman costume? Grade pending, grade pending. I'm going to give it a 64. All right? Going to give it a 64. I think it is better than Shaq's costume. But it doesn't really hold the weight. And really, I think that it does pale a little bit compared to the Batman and Robin costumes. And with that, well, here we go. The Christian Bale Batman costume from Batman Begins. It's a classic. This is not the turn your head one yet. No. We'll get there. It's kind of a stiff costume, but it is not the 89 costume. This is like, it's trying to acknowledge that this is 2005. Very different time. I mean, Revenge of the Sith came out. We're getting on to more movies with CGI. There was a lot of CGI, even in the Batman 3 movies, you had CGI. It just wasn't like Roger Rabbit, Pixar style CGI. It was just different. You'll notice it. You'll notice it. Okay. There's no way a Bat Cycle would turn quickly, but that's the second movie. But here we got, and there was a lot of black, not just in Batman's costume, but in the sort of the League of Assassins costumes, the pre-Batman costume that Christian Bale wears, Bruce Wayne wears when he's there in the presence of Ra's al Ghul and Henry Ducard, who becomes the new Ra's al Ghul. It is a stiff costume, I would say. Not as it is. You see the more grayish tone. It's less black, more of a dark, kind of a charcoal color. I miss the nostalgia on this. The nostalgia is missed on this. I don't think it's as memorable a costume as the movies, and yet it's more practical. I would say it's a more practical suit. Oh man, it's a tough one. But I like the costume. What will I give this one? What do I give Christian Bale's Batman costume along with the other stuff? Here we have Brandon Routh's Superman. Of course, the music's about the same as Johnny Williams. They just kind of reused the Johnny Williams music. They try to say it's the same continuity, but how do you have a better costume? So I think it was like it took place between 2 and 3, where Superman took off for a while. It was just a dumb plot. And this would kind of later be used for the Smallville costume, but we're only looking at the movie stuff. So, is it better than Christopher Reeves? Yes. I don't know if I would rank it higher than the Nicolas Cage Superman costume. This kind of looks all flat out. Who would wear like you're not in shape here if you're trying to do it that way. These are Halloween costumes. Here is Brandon Routh. Man, I don't even know. What would I rank this one? How would I rank this one? Ah, yes. This is the Dark Knight costume. Very different, isn't it? You can already tell. Even though this kind of looks... It's less bulkier, isn't it? There's more... You can see the spaces in between. There's more air to breathe. And you can tell that's the Joker's music. If my dad had seen this movie, he didn't live past 2002, but if he had seen this movie, he probably would have appreciated it more. But superhero movies were evolving, and it had to reflect in all this. So, yeah, look at this. Look how dynamic this is. Very sporty. I mean, this was not... You could not create this in 1989. You had to wait a lot of years. You had to wait 15 years or more to just come up with something like this. What an amazing sight. Or actually, it would be like 20 years. You get to 2008. Look at this. You can turn your head. You could do a lot of things. It was way more flexible. The first one was very stiff. Yeah, Batman Begins was the first movie, but the sequel really made a really tight, really not only tight, but very form-fitting, I guess, where you would be able to move. You're flexible. You could move around. You could really move around this suit. Yeah, like Superman's costume is spandex, so lightly, it's like light, right? And so you're able to just kind of move around. But just when you stare at this costume, it feels like it's doing something, even though it's just sitting there. It's just sitting there in that display. But yeah, what will I grade this one? Oh, I gotta grade this one a good score. I'm gonna give this one an A plus, only because Christopher Nolan really took that time to really make that suit work. It on all levels, it's really good. I mean, it feels tough. It feels like it's still armor, right? But it allows Christian to move around as much as he wants, and so no longer confined by the traditional limitations of the original Batman costume. You could do whatever you could. He could do backflips in that damn suit. You know, it's great. So I like that one. Watchmen. So even though it's not exactly DC Universe, it's still part of Warner Brothers and DC Comics, and it's in its own universe. So I think somehow they shoehorned it in. They shoehorned it into the DC Universe somehow. So Superman, the others know about Doctor Manhattan and such. So this is Rorschach, and what I liked about these costumes was it. These were when you see the get on your bend over and take it in kind of scene with with what's his name, the comedian, right, Jeffrey Dean Morgan. Oh my God, that scene will wake you up. If you thought you knew Watchmen before, you're like, holy shit, this we're getting to some dark places, right, DC? And so yeah, you have these different costumes of different shapes and sizes. I mean, it's scantily clad. Here are the different suits. I'm not sure if this is from the HBO series. It looks like it is. Uh, these are from the movie here, as Zack Snyder envisioned it. I like the diversity of the styles of costumes. Was this owl guy. There's the comedian. The comedian dies at the beginning of this movie. Yeah, there's different outfits. Of course, Dr. Manhattan is a glowing blue guy. So it's not the sack. It's not a strictly a costume. But this is the foreshadowing of what you would see in Justice League, at least Zack Snyder's version of Justice League. Um, what would I rank this? Look at this. Look how great she looks in that. Fantastic. Um, it's like a handful of. And you look at the Golden Age looking characters too. So what would I give this? There's not too many here. There's a big bad guy at the end that looks like a Superman of sorts. Um, what would I get? Let me see if I can find a better picture here. Yeah, so here's a little bit of the costumes. There's Dr. Manhattan to the right of the comedian. Um, and then they had the Golden Age costumes. So my score for the Watchmen's costumes is I'll give it an A minus. I'll say it's an A minus because I like the diversity of costumes. Very dark looking costumes, but not as great as later ones, but still very good. All kinds of shapes and sizes. Ranks below the Dark Knight costume, but I still like them. I still like these, and I think that's what motivated me to want to see Justice League years later. This is based on a DC Comics series, but these are plain clothes. What will I give Red? Great pending, great pending. I'm going to give it a 69. 69. And that's about it. I went over a long time here, and I can't go on too much longer here. But what I will say is that so far we have a lot of different costumes. Part 2 will be tomorrow night, and we will get to the end. And finally, I will be giving my thoughts on that costume. You already know which one. See you all tomorrow night for the conclusion.